Greetings aviators, welcome back to the channel. This is Romeo Tango. Now, after my last video, I got two questions right off the bat, and these are two questions that I can answer immediately. Hence, I've just gone ahead and provided this video. Now, the first question is from the travel bug Lorene. Hi Lorene, thanks for watching the video and thanks for your question. Now, Lorene says, hi Romeo Tango, looking forward to your videos, my friend. Question for you already. What does ATC expect when you give the instructions cleared for immediate takeoff, considering that large aircraft usually take a few seconds to get to takeoff power? Thanks in advance. Okay, beautiful question, Lorene. Now, what the controller is looking for is not necessarily something that is bounded by time, but more by the pilot's actions. Now, what the controller wants to see is the aircraft transition across the hold short line into position on the runway and continue seamlessly to the takeoff roll. Now, the controller is aware that there are a number of factors that can affect the time and the distance that the aircraft in question takes to rotate, and you know, this generally takes about 30 seconds, but we understand that this could vary, okay, depending obviously on the aircraft type, the wind conditions, the load factor on board, a number of things that the controller sometimes will not have access to. So what we're looking for is to see the pilot's best attempt to get the aircraft off the ground. So what we'll be doing is I actually have a video that I prepared from footage that I received from my good friend Renee KJFK, and let's have a look at that video footage right now. So there we have it. As you can see, that Boeing 777 from Air France took approximately 35 seconds from the beginning of the takeoff roll to the point at which the nose gear came off the ground, which is where the takeoff is recognized and recorded. Okay, so I hope that answered your question, Lorene. If at all I have not been clear enough, by all means drop me another comment and I'll try to make it a little bit clearer for you. If you have a follow-up question, by all means do the same. Hope that was helpful. Okay, the next question comes from Kenny Myers. Thanks for watching the video, Kenny, and thanks for your question. Kenny says, this is one worthy to be a presentation at the Smithsonian. May I request one? Is there a difference between the transition level and transition altitude? Asking for a friend. Now, thanks for your question once again. This is a question that is probably best tackled by a video itself. However, I'm going to go ahead and explain as best I can so that we can provide you guys with an answer. Okay, now what I've done is I've prepared some animation that will assist with this explanation. So let's go ahead and have a look at that right now. The transition altitude and the transition level. Now, let's start off with some definitions. The transition altitude is the position at or below which the vertical position of an aircraft is referenced in terms of altitudes. The transition level. This is a position at or above which the vertical position of an aircraft is referenced in terms of flight levels. Okay, now the transition layer is that airspace that exists between the transition altitude and the transition level. Now, let's go a bit deeper. At or below the transition altitude, the pilot will enter into his or her altimeter the surface atmospheric pressure. Okay, and this surface atmospheric pressure, the value of which will be given to the pilot by air traffic control or some related unit, and it will occur or be given to them at periodic times because the surface atmospheric pressure will change from minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day. So this is something that the pilots need to keep abreast of. And there is usually an hourly report that is provided to the pilots. And if there's some major change, some big jump in the atmospheric pressure, this would be provided to the pilots. Now, at or above the transition level, the pilot will enter into the altimeter, what's known as the QNE, or the standard atmospheric pressure, which is numerically 1013.2 millibars or hectopascals, and the imperial measurement equivalent would be 2992 inches of mercury. Now, most jurisdictions around the world would be using 1013.2 because they're metric. The United States being one of the few countries that still provide the altimeter settings in inches of mercury. Now, let's have a quick look at this animation to see if we can get a better understanding of what's going on. Now, here's an aircraft in the climb out, and at the transition altitude, in this case 70,000 feet, this is what the altimeter would look like. Now, in the top window, we see 17,000 feet. To the left and below, we see 1010 millibars, and to the right of that, we see 2982 inches of mercury. Now, as the aircraft climbs through the transition layer, at some point, the pilot will change his altimeter setting to QNE, or standard atmospheric pressure, which is 1013 millibars or 2992 inches of mercury. And as we see, our altimeter is now displaying flight level 180. Not 18,000 feet now, but flight level 180. All right, there you have it. I hope that my explanation has been clear enough. However, if you guys still are not clear on the explanation, please drop me a comment in the section below, and I'll be sure to try to clarify whatever gray areas may still exist. So, that being said, thanks guys. Really appreciate the viewership, really appreciate the questions. Keep them coming, and hey, I'll keep the videos rolling your way. Until that time, winds calm, clear for takeoff.